Hi everyone, I'm Lauren, and I'm back again doing a video for the Best Picture Nominee thing. This time we're doing something a little bit different, and I wasn't sure I was going to do this before starting / during the start of the project, but now I don't have the patience to finish every single film, so there are going to be some DNFs, and this video will cover the first 5 that I have DNF'd so far, and if you don't know, DNF is just did not finish. So films that I started and for whatever reason I just couldn't finish them. Usually because they are boring as all heck and I'm not having a good time with it at all. I do try and give all of these films a good shot. Actually one of these I basically watched the whole way through, but I just couldn't finish it. But I do have my limits. And I am a little bit impatient, somewhat, but I do try and get, Lauren, please sit down a little longer. Maybe there's something here, but these just, I couldn't get through. Am I saying these are bad films, awful films? No, I'm not saying that at all. If you like these films, then that's great, that's awesome. But not everything is going to be to my taste, and that's just how it's going to be. So, without further ado, I have 5 DNFs that I'll talk about in this video. I'm not sure if I'll always do 5 or how I'll do it in the future, but for now it's 5. So the first one that I have to talk about is was a Best Picture nominee for 1930/31, and that is East Lynn from 1931. This one technically, can I call it a DNF? I mean, technically it's a DNF, but it's not my fault. And that's because the only way I could figure out how to watch it was just on YouTube, and it was missing 12 minutes of it. So, yeah. But, that being said, this was the first one that I was really struggling to watch. And I probably would have DNF'd it earlier if I decided that I was okay with DNFing at that point. Because, it's so boring. It's a love drama, and this couple is newly married, and the wife is used to the city life and doing stuff, but then she's all bored in the country, and she's whining, and there's a bit of a scandal on, I don't actually know if she cheated on her husband or not, but there's an assumption that she definitely did, so she goes out and kind of just mopes and travels and mopes and can't see my son. It's boring. I don't like it. It's not told very interesting, and it's really slow. It's so slow to get to the good parts, the more interesting parts. And then the interesting parts are not that interesting. So, yeah. For my second DNF was a nominee for the 1932/33 Best Pictures, and that is Lady for a Day. I think that's supposed to be for a day, but I wrote Lady of a Day because I'm bad at writing, and that's from 1933. This is about a woman that has been corresponding with her daughter and saying that how she's having this luxurious life and whatnot, but she actually hasn't. She's really poor, not doing so well, and the daughter is coming to visit, and the woman is really upset, and she's like, oh, she's gonna find out in my lies and our relationship's gonna be over. So a bunch of people around her that kind of like her assist her into pretending for a day that she is actually a high society woman and all that stuff. And it's like, it could have been good, and I was kind of interested in the premise, but it's not really paced in an interesting way. It feels really strange and jumpy, but also really slow. And it's supposed to be a comedy, but all the stuff that was funny was just like, was that a joke? Okay. So, yeah, I don't know how far I got into this, but it was really not interesting to me. I think I watched most of it, actually, and just, no. The next DNF I have here is a nominee for the 1934 Best Picture Awards, and that is The House of Rothschild. This is about a bunch of Jewish bankers in a family, and they're trying to combat anti-Semitism during the time, and they have this plan to like help each other out in various branches and countries and whatnot. And there's a little bit of like one of them is helping some guy, but because he's Jewish, he's not gonna give him help, so he goes ahead and does some stuff to manipulate the market and get his way. But oh yeah. Again, pacing is kind of weird. It decides to do a bunch of stuff that's just really boring. Hey, let's have some love stuff with some random characters that you don't care about. And also, the main banker, Jewish banker guy, has this scheme on how to manipulate the market, and he tells the audience the whole thing. And normally, I feel like that indicates that it's not going to go according to plan, but it goes all according to plan. So what the heck? And the payoff was just, the execution of the plan, in effect, was just really boring. It's mostly you're watching him stand there. Yep, they're gonna come to me soon. Doop, doop, doop. Oh, and they come to me. Oh, yes, there we go. Like, it was not interesting at all. That one I DNF'd pretty quickly because it was working. For DNF number 4, it was a nominee for the 1928/29 Best Pictures, and that is In Old Arizona from 1928. This is a Western kind of film. Its description on Amazon, where I watched it, is the first talkie filmed out of doors. So at the time, if it wasn't a silent film, it's called a talkie because they talked in it. Haha, that's so funny. There's this, I don't know what you call him. He's not a cowboy. He's like he robs people. He's kind of like a Robin Hood, robbing from big corporations and trying to look out for the little guy type of thing. And it does have an interesting, like, start, but then it's just like, hey, we're gonna spend, I feel like it's at least 10 minutes in the barber shop and like talking, and then he's having a bath, and then they're talking, and it's not interesting, and then when he finally gets out of the barber shop, you're just kind of gabbing around about, hey, someone make me some breakfast. And at that point, it was just... Another thing is that there's a few characters in here that I think are supposed to be Mexican. They are not played by Mexican people, or Latin American, or whatever, not remotely. They're definitely very white, and their accents are not the worst I've ever heard. They're definitely not horribly stereotype racist-y kind of thing, but they're bad though. They're definitely very, very bad. And if they're any worse, they might be getting in that territory. Doesn't help that everybody is overacting. They're acting to 11. I don't know how to explain it because I'm not really an actory type person, but I can tell that it's like cheesy, but just bad cheesy. It's not even very funny how they're overacting, because you're supposed to take this seriously, and yet they're just hamming it up basically, and I'm like, no. I think I got a third of the way through that. That one was a very quick DNF, unfortunately. It was neat that they filmed out of doors, but that's not very impressive nowadays, unfortunately. That's not gonna wow me into watching the whole thing, so yeah. And then the final DNF for this video, at the very least, there'll probably be more, it's inevitable, but that is a nominee for Best Picture from 1936, and that is Dodsworth. This is about a married couple who's kind of portrayed as older, yet the wife is apparently 34, I think, and I have no idea how old the husband is, but okay, they're portrayed as elderly, sure. And the husband is recently retired, and so they decide to go on vacation in Europe together, but then they decide, or not that they decide, but then they figure out that they have different priorities, and their relationship is not working out so well. Basically, the woman wants to go to high class society type stuff, and all her high class society friends, and the guy kind of just wants to explore around, or the husband kind of wants to explore around, visit various scenic things. They go to France, and I don't know where else they go. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he wants to look at all the cool stuff, and she wants to go parties and stuff. So they have different wants in life, and they have conflict with that. Some of that is a little interesting, I guess, but again, it's just paced really weirdly. And the other thing is that I think it's trying to portray as like both sides are reasonable, which if just the woman, the wife, wanted to be more like parties and stuff like that, and the husband wanted to go out and see various scenic things, more adventurous, I could understand that. Like, that would be fine. But the wife is just flirting with all these random men that are in more high society, and it gets to more than flirting. I mean, there's no indication that they have sex or whatever, but I mean, she hangs out with them in their villas for longer periods of time, and it's like, this is the kind of thing you would only do with your lover type thing. And she's like, oh yeah, whoop-a-doo. And then when she gets called out on it by her husband, and it's like, yeah, I see you flirting with your flings and whatever kind of thing. And it seems like he'd be okay, maybe, with it, but she gets really offended that she's getting called out on her bullshit. She's like, oh, you're shaming me, and I'm definitely not that, and It's like, yes, lady, you are that. Stop it! So, oh god, I could not watch anymore. It was just dull anyway, and no. So yeah, those are the 5 Best Picture nominees that I have DNF'd so far. Kind of sucks about DNFing, but I value my time, and I don't feel like putting any more time into these 5 films. There'll probably be more in the future, but we'll see when we get there. So yeah, let me know if you have any thoughts on any of these. I'd like to know, if you like them, that's 100% fine. If you didn't, that's also fine. If you like any of these, I'm not saying they're bad or you're bad for liking them. It's just, I couldn't stand them. And different opinions. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in another video. Bye!